Hello everybody and welcome back to my garage Zero to Hero. Alright, so yes, we did it. I actually bought this car back from Hugo. I paid him a total of 22,000 bucks. So yeah, we ended up buying this car back for a little bit more than what we not really sold it for, but if you guys remember correctly, we had to trade this car for the engine that we had to put in Spartan's rat rod. So yeah, as you can see, I've been a little bit busy. So what I've done to the Impala over here, or aka Limpala, is I've fixed up the suspension. So everything is basically good as new on the running gear. So this thing should at least handle the way it's supposed to now. I haven't done anything to the bodywork or the engine for that matter. So that is still something to do down the pipeline. But yes, this is going to be our future courtesy vehicle from now on, once we can get it sorted, sort of, because there's still a lot of work to do to it. And yeah, as mentioned in the last episode, Hugo told me this car was in a bit of an accident, so yeah, it just looks like this fender and door was pushed in a little bit, so hopefully that's not going to be too much of a problem to sort out. So yes, this thing is at least up and running, so yeah, in other news, we also did a bit of work on Groomy's tow truck over here. So I have managed to strip this thing down and managed to smooth out the body so there's no more dents or anything like that on this truck. So on the agenda for today with regards to this truck would be to get this thing painted up in primer. So we do have got some cans of primer on the table, as well as the color that he wants to have this truck painted at the top. So yes, that is in fact a very special color green, which I actually think is the same color as the engine. Now that I think about it, it looks like it's a similar color as the engine that we bought off Groomy. So that might be the kind of color he wants to go with in this truck. Apparently also the lower part is going to be a off-white color. So yeah, that's going to look pretty mean if we can execute this paint job correctly. So that is, at the end of the day, the only thing that's going to be left to do for us on this truck is the paint job, and then obviously putting this thing back together. So we do have got all the replacement parts for it. So we've got a new grille over there. We've got the new front bumper, a new bumper guard, exact same one that he had on it. And then obviously I took off all the other bits and pieces. The trim and stuff is laying here on the table. So that is the one customer vehicle we are currently busy with. The other one is Eric's 1968 Dodge Charger. So we did take this thing apart in the last episode as well, and I did manage to go through all of the parts and yeah, basically bought new parts that was necessary. So we still have got the two old fenders on the car, which I actually managed to fix up with a little bit of Bondo. It wasn't too badly damaged. So that is hopefully a step in the right direction. So I think we are probably going to start with this car. I want to try and see if I can get this thing running again so that we can move it over to the two-post lift and start working on the suspension. So yes, that is on the agenda for today. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into this 68 Dodge Charger. We are going to just grab our toolbox and yeah, we're going to bring it a little bit closer. There might be some parts we need to bolt on and stuff like that. So most of it is going to be welded on, so we don't have a battery currently in the car. So we did have the battery replaced and also have some new cables that's going in the car. So I think what we can do is it's safe to start welding because we don't have the battery attached. So I think what we can do is we can grab the first rear quarter panel for the left hand side over here. And everything lines up quite neat. It doesn't look like there's any problems. So we should be able to at least weld this thing into place, even if it's just a tag weld here and there. So we're just going to go ahead and start welding this thing together. And on another note, I must say this MIG weld is actually a very miracle machine because, yeah, it's been ages since I actually bought this thing. So we do have got the first gas tank in that thing still, and it still keeps going. Alright, but yes, it looks like we've got all the welds we currently were able to do to this thing. So let's grab our other quarter panel for the opposite side, and we are going to sort of repeat the process. And that actually looks very good. It lines up perfectly. Alright, so let's bring our welder a little bit more closer So let's just move these things out of the way. All right. And we can at least have it sort of center of the car. And that way it should really reach everywhere. So let's have a look here. We've got a weld down there. And I'll probably weld these two up. And right over there. And I think next up we're going to try and mount this middle lip panel in the middle. Just like that. And let's get that welded up. Alright, just like that. That looks like it's nice and sturdy. Alright, so now we should be able to mount the trunk. And we're going to just need our wrench once again. The wrench, not the pry tool. Right, and then we've got this weirdly placed bolt here somewhere that I saw in the last episode. It was very hard to reach it, but there we go, we've got it. So that actually fits the trunk, which, yeah, starts this thing, you know, at least looking like a Dodge Charger again. Alright, so we've got our new rear panel over here. So this is going to go on, hopefully, next. No, looks like we need to first mount the valance at the back, which is here somewhere. But let's first grab our trunk floor, because that is already close by. We also have got the new wheel tubs or wheel houses available. So we're also going to get those welded up shortly. Alright, so let's just get this floor welded into place again. There might be a couple of welds we are not going to see or reach at this point. So let's just be sure to check everywhere. Alright, let's just put the handle down. I keep putting it back onto the machine here for no reason. Alright, so let's get these wheel houses into position. And I also keep knocking this welder over, but yeah, it doesn't seem to be a real problem. Alright, so those wheel houses, we'll just weld them into position. From what we can see for now. And that should at least secure them. There might be some more welds down here. So let's get those. And here behind the tire is also another one. Alright, let's just crouch under here for a second. I can't see anything else. That looks like it's kind of in place already. Alright, so there we go. And that one. Alright, so I'm trying not to skip any welds here. It's definitely hard if you don't really know what parts you needed to weld, because this thing was quite mangled by the time we actually started working on it. Alright, so here's our rear valance. So that should open up the possibility to attach the rear panel with the taillights. Alright, so let's weld these up. There's quite a couple of welds on this car. Alright, and then that's our new grille that we've got. And we've got the front valance and parts over there. There's the rear bumper. Alright, so let's see if we can get this panel fitted now once and for all. There we go. Alright, so this should also weld in somewhere. Over there. And over there. And now this car is definitely starting to look like a proper 1968 Dodge Charger again. Alright, so I think what we're going to do now is let's grab our wrench and just get this battery tray into position before we start kicking this thing all over the workshop. Alright, so that goes over there. And we'll just bolt it down. Right, perfect. So that is at least back now. And then we are going to grab the hood. Alright, let's bring this hood over. And we'll just bolt it down on that side and over on this side. Let's just do the same there. Perfect. Alright, so it's definitely starting to take shape again. So let's see what we need to do with these parts over here, because there's this front valance. There should also be another part. Let's just see, where did I put it? I think this is probably it. Yes, that's the bumper cover. Okay, so yeah, this front valance actually has a front valance cover on it as well. I already attached that to it. So that makes a little bit sense why I was missing a part there. Alright, so let's bring our welder closer to the front. Let's just go around this side. Alright, and see where we need to weld this up. No, never mind. We don't need to weld this up. I think this just actually bolts down. So let's see. Our wrench. All right. And I'm going to just bolt everything down. Just like that. And then this, I'm not too sure how this goes on. Just looks like it bolts down over there. And there. Alright, that is actually plain straightforward. Alright, as for the grill, there should be two little bolts over here. And that secures the grill. Now we can actually do our bumpers. So we've got our front bumper. Alright, so there's the front bumper. And then we've got a couple of these bolts. Looks like carriage bolts. So we'll just bolt them all down. Alright, a couple on this side as well. Alright, so we've got all of those. Doesn't look like we are missing any bolts over there. Alright, but yes, just like that, this thing is definitely starting to look like a Dodge Charger again. It's yeah, it's really not that much of a job, considering this thing has got 1,000,000 trim pieces on it. But I think it definitely, once you've started to learn how things come together, it's actually not that hard. So now what I would like to try and see is if this car is going to fire up if we mount the battery and the battery wires. Alright, so I'm gonna get this into position once again. And let's just bolt everything down. We've got the earth cable there, cable on the alternator. Over on this side, we've got the cable on the starter. And I believe this ground cable, yeah, it looks like it just snaps into place over there. Alright, time for the battery. Alright, and we'll bolt it down there and over there. So now we should have power to the car again. Right, so just one thing that I wanted to check still, these badges for the rear. There are two types. And I can't seem to get these fitted. There's probably a trick to this. So I'm not too sure if this is even the correct badge for it. There's another one here that I also managed to find. But yeah, that also doesn't want to really go onto this rear end. So I don't know if we've got a wrong rear end on this thing. Or maybe those aren't the right badges. So I'm not too sure. But yeah, we can probably just roll without those for now. And you may notice that I actually mounted everything now before painting this thing. That is because I'm going to probably have to strip everything off again. And I just wanted to mount everything to see how it sort of comes together and if we are missing anything. So yes, it's a little bit of a double job, but at least that way we know we are doing this thing correctly and nothing is missing. Because as I said, this thing has got 1,000,000 pieces of trim. Alright, so let's get our welding machine out of the way. Just going to put it down over there. So let's hop in quickly and see if she wants to fire up again. Alright, not too bad. So she at least fires up again. And we're going to be able to at least drive this thing over to our two-post lift now. Alright, so let's just see. I'm probably going to have to move the Impala out of the way first. Alright, so we'll just shut it off for a second, because I don't know how much gas this thing has got in its tank, because I actually mounted the old gas tank to it, to this floor pan that we got, the brand new floor pan. So yeah, that was actually undamaged, so I figured, well, it's no use in replacing it if it's not damaged. Yes, let's quickly see if we can push this thing back. This is quite a heavy car. Alright, so let's hop into this thing. Alright, and I think I might as well just pull this into garage, because that is what I'm going to do next on this thing. Would probably require it to be in the garage. Alright, so actually starts up quite easily, this little inline 6 engine, but it's definitely down on power. So we are going to have to sort that out. So I was thinking of doing a V8 swap on this thing maybe, but yeah, not really for a courtesy vehicle. You want something that's quite a little bit economical and not gonna burn the hole through the client's pocket by putting gas into our courtesy vehicle. So we might actually keep the inline 6 in this thing and just make sure it's 100% perfect. I might also do some new rims. The tires on these are brand new, so we might get some better looking rims and maybe some spaces for the rear wheels. Just depends on the rims that we're going to go with. We do, however, have these ones, but I'm not too sure those are going to suit the car very well. So yeah, unless if we... Yeah, I'm not too sure. We'll see. Maybe drop some comments down below. Do you guys think we should try and fit these wheels to the Impala? Let's just give it a little bit of a mock-up here. They are a little bit of a lower profile, so it might make the ride a little bit uncomfortable. But yeah, I'm not too sure. It's definitely not the right style of wheel, in my opinion, for a Chevy Impala like this. But yes, next up for this car would be probably to try and sort out the bodywork and maybe even the mechanical work. We should just probably rip the engine out and give it a proper service and tune up. Just check the transmission, because I did everything else from the suspension to the drive shaft up until the transmission has been sorted out. So it's just a matter of the engine and the gearbox, and then yeah, the bodywork. Also did manage to find the windscreen for this. I did order it already, so it's on its way, as well as these two side windows that are missing, because obviously the accident damaged those and they actually broke. But yeah, luckily the door still opens. But yeah, we don't really need to make this thing perfect. I just want to have it at least presentable. But yes, I think that is enough of the Chevy Impala for now. So let's see if we can get this thing, the 68 Charger, up onto the 2-post lift, because I want to definitely try and sort out, well, not really sort out the suspension, but take it apart and see what is the story with this and what else we can do to this. Alright, so I think if we reverse it back, it should be fine. Alright, we'll just put it over there. And I'm not going to tighten the handbrake, because we are going to push this thing a little bit backwards now, just to get it centered on the 2-post lift here. Alright, so yeah, we could probably just go a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more. That's a little too much. Alright, this is going to be a problem now. Let's see if we can push this thing by the mirror, maybe. Yeah, that's not going to work. Alright, let me see. We've got a corner here. We can try and push it a bit forward again. Alright, I think that'll do. Yeah, we are definitely... Yeah, we should have actually extended this carport a little bit further so that we can get the lift a bit further away from the wall. Because now with the second table there that I've managed to get, it's a little bit cramped over here, but yeah, I mean, it's still functionable. Right, so let's get these two lift arms in as well. We're going to lift this thing up. Right, I think that is high enough. Alright, we are going to need our toolbox once again. So let's grab our tools. Alright, and let's see. Suspension work. I don't know if this car has got a lot of problems suspension wise, but yeah, it's better to just take it all apart and see how it goes. Alright, so let's just get this first wheel off. Alright, so there's the first wheel removed, and we're gonna basically do all 4 of the wheels first, and then we can start inspecting this thing. Alright, over to this side. We're going to try and remove these 2 wheels as well. Alright, so we've got all 4 of the wheels removed. So what I would like to do is just start with the front suspension over here, because yeah, as you can see, there are a couple of rusty parts. So we're going to do the shock absorbers on both sides. This one looks a little bit better condition. But yeah, the proof is in actually having a look at the thing once you take it off. Alright, so this upper control arm, we're going to just take it off. Yeah, see, that thing is actually on its last legs, although it still appears to be good, but we'll rather just get that sorted out and replace it. Alright, this lower control arm should come off just like that with the strut rod. Alright, the control arm itself isn't the best, and that strut rod is also not destroyed. It's still got a little bit of life left in it. Alright, but let's see if we can get this brake caliper off the side. Right, so our first brake caliper on this corner seems to be decent. It's got some good brake pads in it as well, by the looks of it. Right, so I think let's do the screwdriver. Alright, screwdriver. We're going to take off the brake disc here first. So yes, we do want to analyze these parts all separately. So that is also not the best. It still should work, but it's better to just check it and replace it if we need to. The brake line on this is also decent. The caliper is decent. So I'm just going to go ahead and reinstall this brake hose on this caliper. So that way we know this corner is sorted in terms of brakes. Alright. But yes, as I said, we'll replace the brake disc. The wheel hub isn't too bad. It still should work for a while. Alright, this hub carrier. Yeah, also not the best. Might be better to just replace that anyway. Alright, tie rod. Tie rod actually looks decent. Alright, let's move over to this side, the driver's side. Alright, upper control arm. Let's just have a look at that. Yeah, once again, it's almost in line with the opposite side one. It's not really the best, but it would still have a little bit of life. But as I said, I usually just replace the parts. And this is definitely rusty, so we're going to have to swap this lower control arm anyway. Alright, strut rod. Yeah, it's also bad. I don't know, the other one is slightly better. It's not really perfect either, but yeah, as I said, it's not really too bad, but I might as well just replace the set of those. This brake caliper is a little bit rusty. It looks like it's got some decent brake pads in it. The brake line doesn't look too bad, so we might keep that around. Let's just pop out these pads. These pads are quite a bit worn actually. They're not completely wrecked yet, but they are definitely worn. Alright, so we'll have to replace the front brake pads and this caliper. Those brake pads, let's just quickly check those out as well, because I haven't done that. Alright, so this one, yeah, it actually might be worth getting a set of brake pads. Yeah, definitely these pads aren't the best. So we are going to replace the brake pads anyway. But that caliper is still good and the brake hose is still good. This brake hose also looks good. The caliper is shot, so yeah, well, that is can't really understand how that happens. But yeah, we've got to remove this brake disc. So let's get that off. This brake disc looks fine. The other one was quite worn. So that wouldn't really make sense, but I think the brake disc itself was probably not worn because the brake caliper was worn a little bit more. So I'm not sure how that works, but yes. The wheel hub is quite bad, so we're going to replace that. And this hub carrier, let's have a look at that. Yeah, that is actually quite decent compared to the other side, which is, yeah, it's actually almost similar. But this one is definitely worth using again. Can still work for quite some time. Alright, this tie rod. Let's have a look at this. It's also quite decent. So we've got not too bad tie rods on this car, which is actually strange. Alright, but let's unbolt this steering link. Let's see what this is all about. Steering link still fairly decent. The steering box, let's grab this from here. Yeah, the steering box is still good. We can just actually put that back. Alright, and then, alright, so this steering arm on this side looks a little bit worn, so that is definitely going to be replaced. Alright, so that can just stay over there. And I think that is it for the front suspension. So we can still check this cross member quickly and just see what it's all about. Alright, if that is going to come off, we'll probably have to undo the bolts on the engine mounts, just there. And over there. Alright, cross member. Yeah, we might as well just replace this as well, which means our steering box can just come off again. So we'll just leave these parts over here, and I will sort through everything a little bit later off camera and just see what we need to go and buy in order to replace. But let's start at the back. So yeah, this is probably going to be easier if we do it the old-fashioned way by just removing the whole axle. So we'll undo the shock absorbers. We'll quickly have a look at these. That is a shot shock absorber. That is definitely not going to work very long. This one, come on, I know you're loose. There we go. Yeah, we're going to have to replace both of these. Alright, so we'll just undo the whole axle. Before I forget, let's just undo these bolts as well on our drive shaft. Right, and then there's the last bolt for there. And then if we take the brake hose off, or unbolt the brake hoses, this axle should actually come out without a problem. And there it is. Alright, so the axle itself, yeah, it's definitely worn quite a bit. Alright, before we continue stripping that, let's just take this leaf spring off as well. Alright, I think the bolt is on this side. Yeah, that's a bit interesting. Right, so there's the nut on that side. Alright, that is quite interesting. I can't seem to undo this nut easily, but we've got it. Right, so there's our leaf spring for the right. Yeah, it's not too bad once again. Alright, and then this side. Right, so we've got that one loose. Ah, I see there's like a little cavity where the nut is at the back now. I've noticed that. Alright, but this leaf spring, we can just pop it back on. It's still very good, so there's no need to replace this one. Alright, so looking at the undercarriage here, everything looks fairly decent now. So I want to definitely dig into this rear suspension. So I think let's move it over to this side, where we've got a little bit more space to work with. Right, so let's start with this brake hose. Yeah, that brake hose looks good. Rear caliper on this side. Alright, that caliper can be swapped out with a new one. This one is also looking a little bit rusty. Alright, these brake lines aren't too bad, so all the brake lines on the car are still very decent. Alright, and we've got some good brake pads in this. We might have to check that before we chuck it. Alright, let's grab our screwdriver again. Alright, let's get these discs removed. Alright, so this one, that's not too bad. And this side, let's check this one. Yeah, it's also not terrible, but might be worth replacing those. Alright, so let's take this hub out, because I can clearly see the opposite side one is bad. Alright, there's another bolt down there. Okay. And there's our one hub. Yeah, it's definitely not the best. This one is completely shot, so we'll replace both the hubs, at least on this. Alright, so there's the other hub out. It's definitely a little bit badly damaged. The handbrake cable on this looks quite bad, so we're going to have to get a new handbrake cable. And the axle itself also needs to be replaced, so I'm not going to bother undoing the handbrake cable from this. Alright, and let's just check our differential. What's the condition of this? Yeah, it's actually almost brand new, so that is a plus point. Alright, so rear axle needs to be replaced. Alright, let's bring this thing down a bit. So I think while we are at it, yeah, no, I actually lowered it too soon. Let's just take it back up for a second. Alright, let's come and undo the bolts on the drive shaft here. Alright, let's see the drive shaft. Yeah, we might as well just get a new drive shaft as well. Right, and while we've got this thing up in the air, let's just undo the bolts on the transmission. Gonna also do the exhaust. Alright, so there's the first exhaust. It's not terrible, but yeah, it's definitely worn. And this one, let's just check this out. Yeah, this one is slightly worse, so we'll get this thing a set of exhausts as well. Oh, I nearly forgot about the torsion bars, because I forgot this thing actually is held up by torsion bars. Right, so let's pop this, well, this one first of all. Yeah, not too bad. So everything is sort of in the middle of its wearing state on this car. This one is very similar, so we'll definitely just replace both of those. Alright, so now let's just see what else we can do under here. I don't think there's anything else we can do. It looks like we've got all of the suspension parts off now. Alright, so let's go ahead and rip this engine out and the gearbox. Alright, so where did I put the wrench now? It's probably... Oh, there it is. Okay, never mind. I thought I left it under the car. Alright, so let's get this gearbox removed. Should be plain straightforward now that we've got the drive shaft out, as well as the bolts on the transmission mount are loose. Alright, so the gearbox, I think I've got all the bolts loose on the gearbox, but it doesn't want to seem to come out just yet. So there might be some complications with getting this engine out now. So we're just going to leave this be and table this to a little bit later. There's maybe just the bolts on the wires. Oh, never mind. I actually forgot about these. So let's get those removed. And then we'll also do the fuel line. Right, so there's our engine. Alright, so never mind. I nearly thought that we had a bit of an issue here, but that is sorted. Alright, so the engine is out. And then we can do the gearbox just by loosening that up. Alright, so engine and gearbox is out. This gearbox doesn't look too bad, but it is a 4-speed. The engine block itself looks decent. There's definitely some good parts on here, so this shouldn't be too much work to refurbish this engine. So it's maybe a little project we can tackle on ourselves. There's no use in getting Spartan involved for some minor repairs like this. So let's go ahead and pop this onto our engine stand here inside the garage and just zip it down like that. Alright, there we go. So I think that is everything that we are going to be able to do to Eric's 68 Dodge Charger. Yeah, this thing is it's definitely moving around a bit on the lift. Alright, so let me just push it a little bit straight, and I think that is where it's going to stay. I see the drive shaft actually rolled all the way over here. So let's just grab this and bring it back. Alright, so yeah, we've got a lot of cleanup to do after this episode. Alright, so there's our wrench back into position. And I do want to move these wheels away from the pickup truck, because we are going to be painting this thing up in primer. I'm not going to bother with moving the other vehicles away, because obviously everything here still needs to be painted eventually. So if we do get a little bit of overspray on it, I'm not going to be bothered. Alright, and I just want to get all of these things out of the way, because yeah, we don't want to be tripping over these things. Alright, so let's grab our spray paint compressor. Alright, so there it is. Alright, and I think what we're going to do, we are going to just start giving this thing a little bit of a coat of primer. It actually dries very quick, so if we can get the primer laid on now, maybe tomorrow I can do the green top layer of this truck and get that painted up. Alright, but yes, for now, let's cue some music and get this thing sprayed up in primer. Funkle's got a can of spray. 2 cars
cars parked under the stars, lighted up from near to far. Fumes and colors fill the air, city lights, no one to care. Lines and shapes, they start to flow. Watch the cars begin to glow. Spray it high, spray it low. Make those colors twist and flow. Funkle's art, no one's the same. Two cars tagged in his name. Those mirrors shining bright, graffiti dancing in the night. Funky letters bold and wild. Funkle style, it's never mild. Under moonlight glowing blue, art comes true under his view. Each brushstroke he's gonna show off those rides in vibrant glow.
Alright, and there we go. So this truck is now completely sprayed up in primer. I did notice it was a little bit tricky getting behind the cab over here, between the cab and the box, so we are going to have to remove the bed. So let's quickly grab our wrench. The wrench is probably now inside. Where did I put the toolbox actually? No, it's probably still there in the front of the charger. Alright, so there it is. Let's just grab our wrench. And we are going to just come down over here. We're going to undo this box. Alright, and over there. Alright, let's move over to the opposite side here. Alright, and there's a nut, and there's one. I think these are actually bolts, but there we go. Alright, so that should free up the bed. Alright, so this is still a little bit tacky, but yeah, we are just going to try and paint up this cab wall back here properly. So I think I may have missed a spot or two here. And especially when we start painting this thing in its two-tone colors, we are going to want to get into all these nooks and crannies. Alright, so as for the bed itself, I don't think that is really a big problem. I think we may have gotten everything. And it's a good thing this thing is laying out here in the sun now, because it's going to bake a little bit quicker in the sun and yeah, get itself hardened up and ready for the next coat of paint, hopefully very soon. But yes, that is basically everything that I plan to do for this episode. But I do see we do have a little bit of time left. So I think what we can do is, yeah, let's maybe start stripping the Impala a bit further. So let me grab the toolbox. I think I'm going to start taking off all of the trim and stuff, and also that front windscreen that's broken that needs to come off. And then we can maybe have a look at this driver's side door, if we can straighten that out a bit. So let's start with the trim. So I'm going to leave all of the shiny trim on the car for now. All of these rusty pieces of trim, I'm going to have to replace this. So I'm just going to chuck them one side. We are missing a couple of pieces of trim as well. Like this. Yeah, this door trim is here, but that door trim is missing. So this trim we need to find, and also the trim for the rear door, probably. There's this piece of trim over here at the back, which we do have, but it's also rusty. Alright, and then this wheel arch trim, I can't really see if it's rusty. You know, it looks like it's nice and shiny still, so that is good. But over here we do have this piece of trim that is definitely rusty, so we're going to have to source a new one of those. The mirror itself looks fairly decent on this side. I think this mirror is a bit banged up. Yeah, we're going to pop that off anyway. Alright, so we've got this trim off as well. And there's our driver side mirror. So we're going to have to try and source a new one of those as well. Right, how many trim pieces are there over here? This one is probably banged up a bit in the accident. We'll just remove it for good measure. We'll try and reinstall this once we have got this thing sorted out a bit better. Although this trim isn't looking the best anyway. Alright, let's see this piece of trim on the fender. Yeah, it might be damaged as well, because that's sort of where the impact was. On this side, we'll remove this trim from the damaged door. Alright, so that trim is definitely broken. And then over here, we've got this piece of trim. Alright, so let's pop this on the floor here next to the others. Alright, so that is most of the crusty trim off. Wait a second, we've got one back here. Alright, so that is also a piece of trim we need to get. The ones on the opposite side and on the trunk, they seem to be missing, so there's supposed to be another chrome piece running along there, and then also another one on this end. So hopefully we're going to be able to find those. The trunk carpet doesn't look too bad. On the interior we do have a bad back seat. Door cards aren't matching. We've got a black one on that side, but I think this door was replaced at some point. So that is why that has got a black piece of trim on, or door card on it. This one is a little bit crusty, but it does look like these things are 3-piece door panels. So we might actually be able to do a little bit of a mix match with interior colors if we do want to go ahead and do this thing up properly. This door is obviously a bit mangled, so let's see how we can remove that door, because it'll be great if we can just fix it up rather than replace the door. So I don't know if the damage is too badly extended on this. Right, so trying to figure out where the bolts are for this door. It's probably because it's mangled a bit, it's going to be hard to see it. Right, so we do have a bolt on this door over there, so the front one should be similar. Alright, so there's the one door, and I think this bolt should be here somewhere. Just see if I can sort of figure this out. Alright, and I have located the bolt. It was, because this door's a little bit banged up, wasn't easy to find it. But yes, I wanted to check if we knock this thing with a hammer, if it's gonna maybe push some of the dents out. So let's see if this is going to work. We might have to hit it with the sledgehammer first, just to get it metal moving a little bit over there. Alright, that should maybe do the trick. Alright, and grab this hammer now. We should be able to sort of get this thing straightened out. We might have to actually put it back onto the car now. It's going to be easier for us to bang it back into shape once it's back on the car. Alright, so let's just tighten up this little bolt over there. Alright, and perfect. Now we can try and bash it with the hammer. Alright, and there we go. Alright, it is definitely nice seeing this thing come back to shape. Alright, looks like we can also repair this rocker panel. Alright, the rocker panel seems to be good. This B-pillar might also be a little bit damaged, but yeah, we might have to remove that from the car. Alright, as for the roof, just took a little bit of damage over there. Nothing too serious actually. Alright, and let's see down here. There's a little bit of damage to this frame. Actually banged the fender vents out as well. Alright, so let's just go around to the other side with the hammer. Just trying to figure out how far the damage actually went on this car. It's been definitely pushed a little bit over to the passenger side by the looks of it. This might actually be a little bit of frame damage as well. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to maybe get this thing back onto the two-post lift in order to investigate the damage a bit further on the bottom of the car. But yes, I'm actually quite surprised that this door was able to be straightened out as much as it was. Now we just got to check this door for some damage. Let's just grab it and put it back onto the car as well. Alright, so the door is back. Yeah, that actually looks much better already. It's not perfect. We still have to smooth it out with some Bondo. But I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. I actually see I missed a piece of trim over there. So let's come and grab our pry tool. Just gonna pop that off as well. No, wait a minute. That's a shiny part. Okay, we don't need to take that off just yet. Alright, but yes, I think that is quite a bit of an improvement. I haven't really done any of the Bondo work as such. But there's definitely some more parts we need to bang with the hammer, which is on the table. So I think the best idea would be to get this thing back up onto the two-post lift to see what we still need to straighten out here. Yeah, it's definitely undercarriage, something related there. There's a bit of damage to the B pillar section over here, which I can't seem to see where to hit it. As I said, it might also just be some of the floor damage, undercarriage. Yeah, well, I think that is good enough for now. We'll definitely get this thing sorted out and get this thing ready for its paint job. There's still quite a bit of rust we need to take care of, and yeah, I don't have any sand left because I used all of the bags of sand on the service truck when we were getting that thing ready to head over to the auction. So yes, that truck is actually still at auction, and yeah, I think the people are going to be bidding on that thing quite badly because everybody was sort of asking me questions about it. So yes, but in terms of this Limpala, once we are sort of done with the customer vehicles and stuff like that, we might actually just sell this thing on as well. So this might be a next project that's going to go up for auction, maybe in the later future. Also, this truck, we might be selling this as well, fixing it up a bit, because this truck it's very nice with its long load box, but with the extended cab, it's a little bit uncomfortable to maneuver, and yeah, we are going to need something a little bit more compact, just for hauling stuff up and down. So I was thinking of getting another truck with a long bed, but like a short cab, which is almost similar to the one that Roomy's got over here. But instead of the extended cab, we would have a short cab and then a longer box. That box on that truck would actually fit with the cab like we've got on the Ram truck. And that would make it a long wheelbase, well, a long box or a long bed. This is obviously a short box that's going onto that truck. So yeah, there's a lot of varieties and things you can do to these sorts of trucks. It's just a matter of getting the right frame and the right combination. But yes, that is basically where I'm going to be leaving this episode. So thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate every view, every like. And also, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. I will appreciate it very much. But yes, until the next time, cheerio.